Hello everybody, Necromancy for Kids here once again. This time back at you with another episode of Ancient Telescope, where I randomly roll for 2 Go format cards and I discuss facts about them, including decks that they're used in, strategies you could use in a jank or a competitive deck using them, as well as some random facts and trivia about them that I happen to know. This time I rolled the cards Troop Dragon and Double Spell, which both are cards to me that I've either wanted to use or I have used in decks, so I thought it was pretty interesting. So let's hop right into it. First off with Troop Dragon. Troop Dragon is a level 2 dragon with 700 attack and 800 defense, and if it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you could special summon, or rather, you special summon 1 Troop Dragon from your deck. It is not a you can. So basically, you put 3 Troop Dragons in your deck. Your opponent destroys 1, summon another Troop Dragon, summon another. When that gets destroyed, and then it goes away. Basically, the main idea perhaps that you'd use it for is hopefully on the third one you'd be able to tribute it off for another monster, or just have a wall on your field. Usually that doesn't work out so well, but I'll talk a little bit more about strategies in a moment. Some ways that you can play this card are you can summon it off of Masked Dragon, which special summons a dragon in any position, which is pretty good, so it puts in defense instead of having to be in attack mode. And Flying Kamakiri number 1 can also summon it because it is a wind, although it has to be in attack mode, unlike with Masked Dragon. Something interesting is that Troop Dragon is, I believe, part of the longest string of cards you can summon off of battle in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or at least it used to be. I don't know if that's changed since then. Which was originally you would use Nova Summoner into Shining Angel, into UFO Roid, into UFO Turtle, into Masked Dragon, into Troop Dragon. In Go format, obviously you can only do UFO Roid into Masked Dragon and a Troop Dragon, but I thought that was still interesting. Some ways that you can utilize this card are, like I said, you could hope that you tribute it off and not have just an extra one stuck in the deck. Usually not going to work out too well, of course. It acts as food for Sylpheed in a wind deck. As well, it is a dragon, so it does count for Stamping Destruction. And it does summon it face up, so you will have a face-up dragon monster to use Stamping Destruction destroy back row. Unfortunately, it doesn't work so well with Burst Breath, except to destroy like goat tokens or a Thousand Eyes that was just summoned. Lets you tribute a dragon monster and then destroy all face-up monsters with defense less than or equal to the attack, so only 700. Not going to destroy very much besides tokens. Another way that you can utilize it is in a Red Eyes Darkness Dragon deck, which gains 400 attack for each dragon monster in your graveyard. Unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't put Troop Dragon in the Dragon Structure deck. I don't know why, but they, for some reason, thought that, yeah, let's put like 15 monsters in this deck that requires you to have a bunch of dragons in your graveyard. But of course, you need to use Red Eyes Black Dragon to be able to summon Red Eyes Darkness Dragon in the first place, so it's kind of awkward. Some random trivia about the card is that it is similar in effect in a way to Bubonic Vermin and Hyena, which Bubonic Vermin is when it's flipped. You can special summon 1 Bubonic Vermin from your deck in face down defense position. And Hyena is when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon any number of Hyena from your deck. And they don't have to be in attack. They don't have to be in defense. And it has 1000 attack, so realistically, unless you're going for like a wind strategy or dragon strategy, Hyena is actually better, except that it does say you can, so perhaps in some very specific scenarios it won't work. I believe Atticus or Night Shroud used it in the anime, and it's not actually the case, but I always thought that this card looked like it was on physical copy, but after I looked into it, it looks like it wasn't. But I think it's a pretty cool card. When I was a little kid, I actually had it in my deck, although my deck was also over 100 cards, so to make of that what you will. The next card up here is Double Spell, which is a normal spell card that says you can discard one spell card, then target one spell card in your opponent's graveyard, place that target in the appropriate zone on your side of the field, and follow the card text as if you had used it yourself. So something interesting here is that you do actually have to pay the costs of the card when you activate it, which when you read the text you wouldn't think so, but apparently you do. But obviously what you'd want to use this on the most is Trinity cards that the opponent has already used, although you're spending 2 cards to activate a Pot of Greed or 2 cards to activate a Graceful, so it can be pretty painful to activate it. And obviously cards like Heavy Storm, Snatch Steal, and Premature Burial are pretty strong as well. And by the way, you can use equip spells. And the thing though is that if you use an equip spell, you actually have to have a free zone besides the zone you're activating the double spell in to be able to activate it. And the same goes for something like Swords of Revealing Light that's going to remain face up on the field. The kinds of decks that you could play this in, because it requires you to discard a spell card, is something like maybe a control deck that's already got a bunch of spells, maybe that already plays Royal Decree, like a Goat deck, and there's also Toon Table of Contents that lets you search for a spell in Toon World. So if you're playing some sort of Toon deck, or you're just looking to utilize the best out of Double Spell, you could have Toon World in there to discard for your double spell after thinning your deck a bunch and then drawing with your opponent's Pot of Greed. It's not the greatest, but could be pretty fun to do. There's also Gather Your Mind, which is the super slow version of Toon Table of Contents that lets you add 1 Gather Your Mind from your deck to your hand, but you can only activate 1 Gather Your Mind per turn. What you do is you finally get that 3rd Gather Your Mind or 2nd Gather Your Mind from your deck, then discard it for double spell, again thinning your deck out. Something that uses field spells, because you could have dead ones in your hand, you could use with double spell to potentially gain some advantage from that. Again, decks that use Royal Decree and maybe run things like My Body is a Shield to protect them instead, or decks that use a bunch of equip spells can also work, because maybe you don't always have an equip spell that you want to be able to activate, and you can use Iron Blacksmith Kotetsu to add a spell to be able to an equip spell to be able to use your double spell on. Some interesting facts about the card Double Spell is that in the anime, the only things that it was ever used to activate were Monster Reborn, Polymerization, and Emergency Provisions of all cards. But in the anime, it had the effect that you activate every spell card that your opponent activated on their previous turn. So Yugi used it to activate Monster Reborn and then Polymerization that Kaiba had used. So in a way, it's better because you could potentially activate a bunch of spells, but it's also worse because you're limited to only the spells their opponent activated on their previous turn. With all of that said, that's about all that I have for you guys today. Hopefully you got some ideas brewing in your head of fun ways that you could play these, or at least you had some fun listening to sort of jank that you could come up with these cards, even if you're never planning to actually play them for yourself. Thank you very much. Have a great day.